Again, my name is Ying Xiong. I'm actually the director of a cloud lab at Huawei. So it's great to be here, back here. I always come. Last year, I gave a talk about the open source, the power of open source ecosystems. Over the last year, the open source community and the open source project has been growing exponentially, which is great to see. Of course, that's not because of my talk, right? It's because of the technology and the innovation that you guys created that actually help the customers to solve the customer real problems. So today I want to share with you some of the projects we have been working on with the communities, give you update of some of these projects, and I also want to share with you some of the thinking experience we have in how to drive the open source collaboration, open source innovation. Past few years, we have seen, I believe you have seen too, that more and more enterprises embrace the open source technology. And many of them using this technology as the infrastructure component, infrastructure foundation to build a technology advantage for their business. They really rely on, they really depend on the open source. Why? Because they trust the communities. They like the collaboration that happens in the communities. So open source is all about community and collaboration, as you know. But however, community is not just a crowd of individual organizations who contribute the code. It's more than code contribution. It's more than the contribution ranking that many people see in the communities. Similarly, the collaboration is not just coordination or cooperation. With coordination, sometimes imply that it's one company at the center and the coordinate with other companies or individuals to achieve a goal. But that's not the open source way of collaborations. We believe the open source way of collaboration is centered around the business problem. It's centered around the technology advantage that people from all over the world come together with trust, inspire, sharing, support, everything you see in these diagrams. They're working together to achieve a common goal, which is to solve the real business problem for the end users or for the communities itself. So what this means to us? It means that in every community that we have been engaged, from Linux foundations to OpenStack to CNCF to Apache communities, we are committed to this principle of collaborations, the open source way of collaborations. And this is really fundamental for us. So I want to share with you one of the projects called Community OpenLab. And one of the challenges we continue to see in the community is that complexity is not only the individual project itself, like OpenStack, like Kubernetes, but also the complexity of integration among this technology. So to address these challenges, promote the collaboration among ourselves, among our communities, the community created this OpenLab project with a vision to be a place for all open source community to collaborate, to integrate, and to test the technologies. So today, the community have more than 13 companies or organizations that contribute infrastructure to this lab and support the communities. Thanks to this organization that who made the open source vision, open lab vision possible. So in this lab, you can have access to hundreds of devices, servers, GPUs, FPGAs, and thousands of virtual machines, also including the programmable network switch. Thanks again for those organizations that contribute the infrastructure to this lab. So currently, we have 11 projects or technologies deployed on this lab and integrate together. This including the Bash, Kubernetes, Jenkins, and Terraform, and so on. The community also wrote more than 70 individual tests, which you can run to test against your deployment in this lab for your technology you choose. Those numbers are not big numbers, but we are glad to see the people from all different communities that come together, collaborate, work together to solve the integration problem for the customers. Another aspect of open source way of collaboration is to engage end user in the communities. In fact, for open source to be successful, the technology itself has to benefit the end users. So end user is one of the driving force for open source way of collaboration. Now, OpenSDS is one of those projects engaged in the end users extensively. So one of the end users is Yahoo Japan. In Yahoo Japan, as the business grows, the private cloud system is getting bigger and bigger. So one of the challenges they have they want to centralize the storage access, storage management for all the different platforms they already have in the production. So they engaged OpenSDS communities extensively. So a couple of weeks ago, the OpenSDS community released a new version of OpenSDS called Aruba release. That release unified the storage management for Kubernetes and for the OpenStack into one single platform and replicate data among those platforms. That exactly solved the challenge, the problems for the Yahoo Japan. Again, the end user is really a driving force for open source way of collaboration. Let's talking about the innovation. We hear all the time that open source is the best platform, it's the best environment to innovate, right? But how? How companies innovate for the business if everyone is using the same technology? How companies innovate to differentiate themselves from others if we're all using the same technology? You may already been asked by your customer the same questions. Here I want to share a couple of thoughts, a couple of thinkings, hopefully give you thinking going in this direction. First, the open source has moved the level of playing field for innovation to an up layer. Nobody considers operating system as a technological advantage anymore, right? The same is true for many open source platforms. They are no longer considered by the business as the technological advantage. So we have to think a layer higher in order to innovate. This could be your specific industrial domain. This could be on top of this technology for integration, for management, make it easy to use, make it scalable or secure, make it auto-managed. Either way, we have to manage, thinking about from the higher levels. Another way to innovate we found from a customer is that the customer found innovative ways to innovate, to using the technology to solve this business problem. One example I want to share with you is we have one customer using the Kubernetes to manage device, not the servers. They push the container into the device and they manage the device from the Kubernetes cluster in the cloud. That's an innovative way to using the technology to solve the business problems. Another common way to innovate for many technology companies do, they abstract standardize the common problems you have, the common requirements from the customers, and create a new technology on top of existing ones. That's another way to innovate. They will move the whole open source to a higher level that benefit every business. So lastly, I want to share a project, a small innovation project called CNI Genie. And the scenario is this. We have quite a few customers using the Kubernetes, like everybody do those days. They're using the Kubernetes to manage the container application, but they can encounter the following problems. They have applications that has multiple endpoints, so they need a multiple IP address per container, which is not supported in today's systems, because they want the people access to the application internally different than publicly, so they want multiple IP address. They also want to ability to configure or apply the different network solutions for different type of applications that deploy on the same clusters. Whether they want to separate the video stream app from other apps, or whether they just try to control the network access to the control plane different than the network plane, they want to have different network solutions to that. Now we also have one customer actually want to IPv6 network that coexist with IPv4, which doesn't support it today. So to track the problems, to challenge those problems. So the community created a CNI Genie, a small project, an innovation project, where allow the Kubernetes user to choose and configure different network solutions at the time of you deploy your application at the runtime. That allow the customers to deploy different networks for the application that has the same clusters, assign different IP address. Underneath, you can choose the flannels, canicles, or canals. Again, it's a small innovation project, but really solve the real business problems. Finally, I want to end my talk with this quote that most people know. To live is to change the world. And those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world, they usually do. I think the open source is the best platform to do that. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the conference.